You tend to turn to food when you are sad or stressed. You are not alone. Emotional eating is really common.
But while it may make you feel better for a while, eventually the good feeling is often replaced by other feelings. Dr. Frank McGeorge is here with some tips on recognizing emotional eating. Doc.
Well, you know, Kim and Devin, if you think about it, actually, we need food to survive. So it makes sense that eating would make us feel good or at least activate our brain's reward center. And in fact, food is also part of celebrations and emotionally significant times in our lives. Where it all goes wrong is when we turn to food to generate those emotions.
Food is accessible, it's legal, it's socially acceptable to do, and people even joke about it. There have been commercials about, when we're upset, we tend to eat. So it's very common, but at the same time, especially for people who might struggle with excess weight, it can be a pretty serious condition as well.
Emotional eating can cause weight gain, which in turn can put a person at risk for other issues like type 2 diabetes, hypertension, high cholesterol, and heart disease. There are psychological concerns as well. For example, they may experience guilt or shame after emotional eating. So what are some other ways to cope when upset? If you can't solve whatever issue you're dealing with in that moment, consider talking with a friend instead. Other options include doing some deep breathing exercises, going to therapy, or even working out. It's also important to practice self-compassion if you do wind up eating.
What benefit do we have by beating ourselves up? People say, well, if I'm not hard on myself, I'm not going to change this. And actually, the literature supports the opposite. When we're able to show ourselves a bit of grace and self-compassion, we can say, hey, although I'm not happy I did this, I look at some of the factors that maybe led to it, and I can change that in the future.
Now, some other clues that you might be emotionally eating instead of eating for nourishment is eating when you're not actually hungry or not stopping when you actually do feel full. When you're eating, consider asking yourself if you really are hungry, and if not, think about other ways to occupy your time.
Yeah, lots of people maybe sit down with a large snack while they're binge watching a movie or a series or a football game. How is that related to emotional eating?
Well, so some of that might be emotional eating, but it actually generally falls under the category of what we might term mindless eating as opposed to mindful. Emotional eating is a form of mindless eating in that it isn't being done with the intention of feeding hunger. But snacking in front of the TV, that's often more of like a situational behavior or really kind of the result of just being distracted.
I'm already planning on emotional eating Sunday night, so
Stress eating once in a while.
it will be.
Don't beat yourself up.
All right.
Know it
All right,
well.
Doc.
All right, thanks, Doc.